U.S. and allies launched strikes on Syrian chemical weapons sites. The U.S., UK and France have bombed multiple government targets in Syria in an early morning operation targeting alleged chemical weapons sites. The strikes are in response to a suspected chemical attack on the Syrian town of Douma last week. Explosions hit the capital, Damascus, as well as two locations near the city of Homs, the Pentagon said. Russia's ambassador to the U.S. responded by saying the attack on its ally will not be left without consequences. A combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom is now underway, President Trump said in an address to the nation from the White House at about 2100 hours local time, 2 o'clock BST. The wave of strikes is the most significant attack against President Bashar al-Assad's government by Western powers in 7 years of Syria's civil war. Syrian state television said government forces had shot down more than a dozen missiles, and claimed only the research facility in Damascus had been damaged. 3 civilians had been injured in Homs, it said. U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis told reporters there were no reports of U.S. losses in the operation. In his earlier address, President Trump had said, "We are prepared to sustain this response until the Syrian regime stops its use of prohibited chemical agents." But Secretary Mattis said that right now, this is a one-time shot. John Dunford confirmed the wave of strikes had ended. John Dunford said the U.S. had specifically identified targets that would mitigate the risk of Russian casualties. But the Pentagon said that Russia, which has forces on the ground in Syria in support of the government, had not been given advance notice of the targets. UK Prime Minister Theresa May confirmed British involvement, saying there was no practicable alternative to the use of force. But she also said the strikes were not about regime change. UK strikes carried out by 4 Tornado jets hit one of the targets mentioned by the Pentagon, a military site near the city of Homs which is believed to have housed precursor materials for chemical weapons, according to the UK Ministry of Defence. French President Emmanuel Macron also confirmed his country's participation in the operation. Dozens of men, women and children were massacred with chemical weapons, he said of the Douma incident a week ago, adding that the red line had been crossed. This attack was more significant than the U.S. strike against a Syrian airbase a little over a year ago, but at first sight seems more limited than President Trump's rhetoric may have suggested. Last year some 59 missiles were fired. This time a little over double that number were used. The strikes are over for now, but there was a clear warning that if the Assad regime resorts to chemical weapons again then further strikes may well follow. Care was taken, say the Americans, to avoid both Syrian and foreign, for that read Russian, casualties. But the fundamental questions remain. Will President Assad be deterred? Last year's U.S. strike failed to change his behavior. This time, will it be any different?